So you grew up making pie with your grandma?
Yep.
That's so nice. And so I grew up not having pie. I grew up with like super crappy frozen pie or Hostess pies. So, I think there's really two camps of people. There are people who really grew up with pie and, their moms and grandmas making it. And then I'm in the camp of somebody who thought pie should be good. And so I really tried to understand it. And I really opened Bubby's while I was learning how to make pie. And it really took me a long time of trying to do it. And Ricardo, he is Bubby's baker, and we've been working together for like, how long, 26 years or something? Yeah. 26 years. So, and we really learned how to make pie together, I would say, too. And it's really, it's a simple thing, but there's so much stuff to learn. One of the things that I'm going to talk about is just different kinds of fat. So we have butter and lard in here. The other thing is that all this stuff is really cold. We feel that. So we keep everything in the freezer, even the flour. And so everything's cold, and so there's a little bit, I can give you guys recipes later, but there's very little bit of salt. And one of the things, I'm sort of super crazy about the stuff that we use. So we use really good butter, really good lard. Like, we don't buy commercial lard because it's not good. Commercially raised lard has a lot of stuff in it. I don't want to get all political about it, but it's not good. One of the things that we really want is for the pie crust to be super flaky. And I mean, if you tap it a little bit, you can kind of hear that it's a little hollow and it's cooked through, and it's a tricky thing. But a flaky pie crust, it really needs very large pieces of fat. And let's start mixing it in. So one of the things that's going on in here is that we have just water, flour, and fat. And the bigger the piece of fat, sort of more steam pocket it creates. And that the steam pockets are really what makes everything flaky. So we're just going to cut it in, and one of our main things is when we're cutting this in, we want to end up with a lot of pieces that are like this big. And having the fat frozen really keeps it together. If it's not really cold, it all falls apart, or it sort of smears across the flour. All right, so we're going to start putting in water, and this is very a touchy thing too. So you want to work pretty quickly, and I guess it's better to have a slightly dry pastry than a too wet pastry. So we'll get towards the end of it. One drop of water really makes all the difference. So you want to just be conservative at the end. So what I'm doing now is just squeezing to see if it's going to hold together. And the minute that it starts to hold together is really when you want to stop. So really one of the only things that gets your skills together with pie making is making pie. And it takes a long time to really understand what's going on, and I think part of that is just working through seasons, because every season is different. So, I mean, the difference between pie and cake really is, cake is very exact and pie is really intuitive. I prefer pie to cake. Everything that in pie should be pretty quick, because you don't want things getting hot. that little tear that was forming and he just pushed it together real quick? Well, it all takes practice, really. And there's a whole bunch of cheaty little things out there in the world. I would not use any of those. So we already mixed this pie filling earlier. There's butter in that already?
Yeah.
So I when I'm putting the top on, I'll fold it into quarters. All right, so obviously there's also a million ways to trim pies. So you're just leaving plenty of room to crimp and roll. We also don't try to be creative. Like creativity is, I have a circle here that's like this circle, and there's this very thin line that's thinner than an actual hair, and that is the amount of creativity that we have at Bubby's, because it really is about, I look at things as sort of bringing back a conversation from the past and making sure that we understand where we're coming from. So I really try to embrace old recipes, and I talk to as many grandmothers and sort of older people as I can, just to sort of make sure that I understand what they're doing, kind of thing. Yeah, pie is really good for not wasting in a way. It's, you know, and it lasts for a long time, and it's super American. Wow. And there you go.